All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into DeepSeek.
DeepSeek.
Yeah, this Chinese AI company. They're making some serious
I
waves.
heard the name. Yeah.
But it's like, are they just competing with the big guys like OpenAI?
Uh-huh.
Or, and this is where I really want to get into, are they actually like changing the whole game?
That's a good question.
So we've got like a ton of articles here,
Oh, wow.
wiki entries. Let's see what we can uncover.
Okay, let's dive in.
Okay.
I think what's really fascinating about DeepSeek is just how quickly they've blown up, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
And suddenly they're right up there with these huge AI giants
Yeah.
putting out models that are, as good as, sometimes even better than what these established companies are doing.
It's true. Like one article even mentioned that their DeepSeek R1 model, it actually became the most downloaded app in the US.
Whoa.
It even surpassed ChatGPT for a while.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, that's a real sign that they're onto something, right?
Mm.
And it's not just talk either. Like, remember that big dip NVIDIA's stock took? That 18% drop?
Yeah.
Some people are attributing that, at least in part, to DeepSeek's rise.
Wow.
Like, investors are starting to realize that the whole AI landscape is shifting,
Right.
and DeepSeek is right at the center of it.
Okay, but before we get into, like, all the reasons why they're so successful, let's just back up for a second.
Yeah.
What exactly is DeepSeek? Like, what do they do?
So, at its core, DeepSeek is a Chinese AI company.
Okay.
And they specialize in these things called large language models, or LLMs.
Okay.
These are like the engines behind stuff like ChatGPT, the AI we're all talking to now.
Yeah. Okay.
That kind of thing.
But, okay, so on the surface, they might sound like any other AI company,
Right.
but there's something, like, fundamentally different about their approach.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. For one thing, they're owned by a hedge fund
What?
called Highflyer.
A hedge fund owns an AI company.
Yeah, it's pretty unusual.
That is weird.
Like, usually you have tech companies and then you have finance, right?
Oh, they're totally separate.
Yeah. It's like having a tech startup inside a Wall Street giant.
That's wild. Okay, so does that financial backing, like, does that play a role in how they're doing things?
It might, yeah.
Okay.
It very well could. And then there's the thing that really sets them apart.
Yeah.
DeepSeek is completely open source.
Okay, now that's where things get interesting.
Yeah.
So open source, like, they're just putting all their AI models and algorithms out there, like, for anyone to use.
Exactly.
Wow.
Anyone can use them, modify them, build on them, whatever they want.
Okay, so that's completely different from companies like OpenAI.
Totally. Yeah.
Right, like OpenAI, they keep all their stuff super secret.
Yeah, their algorithms, their training data, it's all locked down tight. But
Yeah.
DeepSeek, they're like, here you go, world, have fun with it.
That is a completely different philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, hypothetically, I could just, like, download their model and create my own DeepSeek, like, powered app or something.
Yeah, that's the idea.
That's crazy.
It's a total departure from that, walled garden approach that we see so much in tech.
Yeah.
Especially with AI.
Right.
It's very unusual.
Okay, so it's definitely intriguing,
Mm-hmm.
and clearly it's working for them.
Right.
But how does open source, like, how does that actually translate into, like, concrete advantages?
Well, one big factor is cost effectiveness.
Oh, okay.
DeepSeek can train its models for way less money than companies like OpenAI.
How much less are we talking?
It's kind of mind-blowing, actually. Like, reportedly, they spend around $6 million.
$6 million.
Yeah, compared to, like, the estimated $100 million that it costs to train GPT-4.
Wait, so they're getting similar results 17 times cheaper?
Yeah, something like that.
That's insane.
And it's not just about saving money, either. Their models are performing just as well, sometimes even better.
Really?
And they're doing it with way less computing power.
Okay, now this is where I get lost. Like, how is that possible?
It's not so much about, like, a secret formula or anything. It's more of a philosophy, I guess.
Okay.
They're not obsessed with just having the biggest data sets or the
Right.
most powerful computers.
Okay.
DeepSeek, they're all about quality over quantity.
Okay.
So they use less data overall, but they're really, really picky about what data they use.
So it's like, it's not about having the most data, it's about having the right data.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like,
Right,
a small team of highly skilled experts versus a giant army of random recruits.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So how do they even, like, curate their data so well? Like, how do they know what the right data is.
Well, that's where their unique ownership structure might come in,
This
right?
hedge fund.
Exactly.
Yeah.
High flyer, they're experts in financial markets,
Okay.
data analysis, predictive modeling.
Yeah.
So they're bringing that expertise to the table when they're choosing what data to use for training their AI.
So they're not just scraping random stuff off the internet.
No, no.
They're being really strategic about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like having a team of like super librarians
Yeah.
curating the perfect collection of books for a very specific research project.
That's a great analogy.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're really meticulous about it.
Okay. And then on top of that, they've got those, what were those unique techniques again? You mentioned those.
Oh, yeah, like MLA and MOE.
Right. MLA,
Yeah.
their secret weapon.
Right.
Okay. So remind me again, what is MLA? How does that work?
So MLA, it stands for multi-head latent attention.
Multi-head latent attention.
And basically, it's like a way for their models to find shortcuts in understanding language.
Shortcuts.
Yeah, so instead of having to process every single word in a sentence,
Right.
MLA lets them focus on the key relationships between those words,
Okay.
which makes the whole learning process way more efficient.
So it's like, instead of reading the entire textbook, you just read the chapter summaries or something. Okay, that's pretty clever. And then what was the other one? MOE.
Oh, right. MOE, or mixture of experts.
Mixture of experts.
Yeah, so this one's a little trickier to explain.
Okay.
But imagine instead of having one generalist who's trying to do everything,
Yeah.
you have a whole team of specialists.
Okay.
Each one's an expert in a particular area.
Right, like a brain trust.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's essentially what MOE allows their models to do.
So instead of one giant brain, they have these like smaller specialized units
Yeah.
all working together.
Right.
Okay, so it's like instead of having one doctor who's trying to do everything, you have a neurosurgeon,
Right.
a cardiologist,
Yeah.
an immunologist,
Exactly.
all working together to like solve a really complex case.
Exactly. That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And that's what's allowed DeepSeek to get so good at stuff like reasoning, problem solving. They've even outperformed OpenAI on some math benchmarks.
Whoa, so they're cheaper, they're faster, and they're more efficient.
It seems that way, yeah.
Okay, this DeepSeek advantage.
Yeah.
This could be a total game changer, like for the whole AI field.
I think it could be.
Right.
It really challenges a lot of the assumptions we've had
Yeah.
about how to develop AI. Like, do you really need massive data sets and these, like, supercomputers?
Right.
Or is there a smarter way to do it?
Yeah, it's like they're democratizing AI, right? Like suddenly it's accessible to like smaller companies.
Yeah.
Researchers.
Yeah.
People who don't have the resources of Google or OpenAI.
Exactly.
Okay, so DeepSeek's future, like where are they going with all this? What are their plans?
Well, right now, they're really focused on research.
Okay.
They haven't said a lot about, like, their commercial plans,
Okay.
which makes it even more intriguing,
Yeah.
right? But they're clearly pushing the boundaries in a lot of areas,
Yeah.
especially stuff like, logical reasoning,
Yeah.
complex problem solving.
Okay, so they're not just building another chatbot.
Yeah,
They're going for something like much deeper.
exactly.
An AI that can actually like tackle really complex challenges.
Yeah, and the fact that they're doing it all open source,
Yeah.
that's huge. I mean, that raises all sorts of questions about where AI is headed,
Yeah.
how accessible it's going to be.
This is a lot to take in.
Yeah,
I feel like we've only just scratched the surface here.
we have.
Okay, so before we dive deeper, is there anything else we need to know about DeepSeek, like right now?
One thing that's really interesting is that DeepSeek might be able to avoid some of the stricter AI regulations in China.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
Well, because they're not focusing on, like, consumer-facing products.
Right.
They're not subject to the same level of scrutiny that you get with stuff like chatbots or social media.
Oh, that makes sense.
So by sticking to research,
Yeah.
they have a lot more freedom to experiment and innovate.
So it's like they found this like loophole that lets them operate outside the normal constraints.
It's a clever strategy.
Yeah, very clever.
Gives them a lot of flexibility.
Okay, so we've still got a lot more ground to cover.
We do.
But I think we're off to a good start. We're starting to understand what DeepSeek is all about.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see where they go from here.
Me too.
I think they have the potential to really shake things up
Yeah.
in a big way.
All right, so next time, we're going to dig even deeper. We'll try to unravel the implications of DeepSeek's unique approach and really explore what their success could mean for the future of AI.
Sounds good. I'm ready. Welcome back. This whole idea of quality over quantity,
Yeah.
it's really got me thinking. Like, it really challenges everything we thought we knew about AI development.
It's like they're rewriting the rule book.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, practically speaking,
Yeah,
what are they actually doing differently with their data?
right.
Like, how are they being so efficient?
So DeepSeek, they're super meticulous about how they curate their training data.
Okay.
It's not just about having mountains and mountains of data.
Right.
It's about selecting the right data
Go.
and then refining it.
Okay, that makes sense. Especially with, like, they're spending way less on training.
Yeah,
So they're not, like, drowning in data.
exactly.
But how do they know what the right data is?
Right.
Like, what's their process for curating it so well?
Well, I think this is where that whole, like, unique ownership structure comes in.
You mean with the hedge fund?
Yeah, exactly. Highflyer, they're not just some random investor.
Right.
They have deep expertise in financial markets, data analysis, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So they're bringing all of that to the table
Okay.
when they're deciding, okay, what data are we going to use to train these AIs?
So it's like, it's not just random data from the internet.
No.
It's very specific.
It's very carefully chosen, yeah. It's almost like, if you had a team of expert librarians who are putting together, like, the perfect collection of books for a very specific research project.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So they're really strategic about it.
So this also ties into, like, the MLA and the MOE stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so like with MLA, for example, that shortcut they use to understand language,
Right.
that lets their models process information more efficiently because they're focusing on the key relationships between the words.
So does that mean they can handle, like, longer sequences of information?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
MLA is really good for tasks that need, like, complex reasoning. Like, if you're trying to solve a really complicated math problem, or if you're trying to write something that's, like, really nuanced and coherent, that's where DeepSeek's models really excel.
And then the MOE stuff, like the team of specialists.
Right.
How does that architecture give them an advantage?
So think of it this way. Instead of having, like, one generalist AI trying to handle every single task,
Right.
MOE lets them break those tasks down into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Okay.
And then each chunk is handled by a specialized submodel, or expert, if you will.
Okay, so it's kind of like back to the doctor analogy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of having one doctor trying to do everything, you have a team of specialists collaborating.
So they're not just throwing brute force computing power at the problem.
No.
It's a more, like, strategic approach.
It's much more elegant. Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. Okay, so we've talked a lot about, like, their tech and their approach. But they're still kind of a mystery, right?
They are a bit of a black box, yeah.
Especially when it comes to, like, their future plans.
Yeah, they haven't been very public about, like, their commercial strategy.
Right.
But I think if we look at their history,
Yeah.
the types of models they've released, we can start to piece together some clues.
Okay, let's do some detective work. What have we got?
All right, so DeepSeek started out with a focus on code generation.
Okay.
Like, their early models, DeepSeek Coder, DeepSeek LLM, these were specifically designed to help programmers write code.
So they were targeting developers right from the get-go.
Yeah, which is interesting, right?
And it was all open source.
Exactly.
So developers all over the world could just use their tools.
It's a smart way to build a community around your technology.
Very smart, yeah.
And then they started branching out.
Oh.
They released DeepSeek Math, which was specifically for solving math problems.
Okay.
And they even developed their own, like, training methods, things like GRPO. Group Relative Policy Optimization.
Okay, I'm not going to pretend I know what that is.
Don't worry about it. It's just a fancy way of saying they're constantly innovating.
Okay.
Like, not just with the models themselves, but with how they train those models.
Okay.
And then things really took off with their DeepSeek V series.
Okay, the V series. What's so special about the V series? Explain it to me like I'm 5.
All right, so the V series, that's where they introduced MLA and MURI.
Ah, the secret weapons.
Exactly. So now they're building these larger, more powerful models.
Yeah.
But they're still incredibly efficient.
Okay.
Like the DeepSeek V2 model, it was way cheaper to run than any of its competitors.
How much cheaper?
Think like 2 RMB for every million words generated.
That's practically free.
Basically, yeah.
Wow. So the cost, the performance, that really put them on the map.
It did, yeah. And it wasn't just about that. The V series also marked a shift towards more general-purpose AI.
Oh, okay.
So they were no longer just focused on code or math. They wanted models that could do a whole range of things,
I
like
see.
creative writing, translation, even like reasoning about complex topics.
So they were coming for ChatGPT's territory.
Exactly.
Right.
And then they released DeepSeek V3 a couple of months ago,
V3.
which is arguably one of the most advanced open source AI models out there.
They move fast.
They do, yeah.
Seems like every few months they've got something new.
It's pretty remarkable. And their latest release, DeepSeek R1, this one's all about reasoning.
Okay, R1 reasoning.
Really complex reasoning. Like, they're showing it off on all these challenging benchmarks, like, really difficult math problems.
Like what kind of math problems?
It's like stuff from the American Invitational Mathematics Examination.
Oh, wow. So we're not talking like basic algebra here.
No, this is like university level stuff.
Okay.
And while OpenAI's models might still be a bit faster on some specific tasks, the fact that DeepSeek's R1 is even in the same ballpark is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider how quickly they've been developing.
And that they're doing it all open source.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
Okay, so DeepSeek is definitely a company to watch.
Absolutely.
But what does this all mean for, like, the average person?
Right.
How is this going to affect our lives?
That's the big question, isn't it? And I think the answer is it's going to affect our lives in a lot of ways. DeepSeek's not just building like faster chatbots or better code generators. They're paving the way for a future where AI is more accessible, more affordable, and ultimately more beneficial to all of us.
So more beneficial? How? Like, what does that even look like?
Well, think about it.
Yeah.
Open source means that all of a sudden, smaller businesses, startups, researchers, even just like individuals, they all have access to this really advanced AI technology.
So it's not just limited to these like giant tech companies anymore.
Exactly.
Because before it was basically like, if you couldn't afford to pay those crazy fees, you're out of luck.
It couldn't play the game.
But now it's like, the game's wide open.
It is.
Okay, so like, what are some concrete examples? Like, how could this actually change things?
Oh, the possibilities are endless. Imagine like personalized education tools that actually adapt to your learning style. Healthcare apps that can give you like a more accurate diagnosis. Creative tools that help you write music or design a website.
That's cool.
And it's all powered by this open source AI from DeepSeek.
So it's like, instead of AI being this thing that's like exclusive and expensive, it's just like woven into our everyday lives.
Exactly.
Okay, and what about the economic impact? Like, is this going to change things on a larger scale?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, DeepSeek's methods are so cost-effective. It could drive down the price of AI development across the board. So suddenly, businesses of all sizes can realistically start using AI in their operations.
So more jobs.
Potentially,
More innovation. Maybe even lower prices for consumers.
It's definitely possible.
Okay, so that's the optimistic view. But what about the potential downsides? Like, this is powerful technology.
It is.
Is there a risk that it could be misused?
Of course.
Okay.
I mean, any technology can be misused. And with open source, it's even more important to think about those risks.
Yeah, because anyone can access it.
Exactly.
So, like, what if these models fall into the wrong hands?
That's a real concern.
Okay, so that's something we need to be thinking about as AI gets more powerful.
Definitely. It's a responsibility for all of us, The AI community, policymakers, even just society as a whole.
We need to figure out how to balance innovation with, like, keeping everyone safe.
Right. It's a tough balance.
Yeah. But DeepSeek, they're in this kind of unique position. Right? Like, they're so closely tied to the Chinese government.
Right.
Which, on the one hand, is kind of concerning.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it could actually be a good thing.
How so?
Well, China already has, like, pretty strict regulations around AI.
Yeah, that's true.
Data privacy. So DeepSeek, they kind of have to operate within that framework.
Right.
So maybe they could actually end up being, like, a model for responsible AI development.
Interesting. Like, even if it's not their intention, they could end up setting a precedent.
Exactly.
Something to watch, for sure.
Okay, so if we had to sum all this up, like, what's the one big takeaway from all of this?
I think DeepSeek is proof that innovation doesn't always come from the places you expect.
Okay.
Like, they've shown that you don't necessarily need massive resources
Yeah.
to make groundbreaking progress.
It's about efficiency,
Now,
collaboration,
yeah,
and really focusing on quality.
exactly.
And they've done it all really, really fast. Like, they just came out of nowhere.
It's been a remarkable rise.
Yeah, it really has.
And it's not over yet.
It feels like we're just getting started.
We are. I mean, the most exciting part is that DeepSeek's story is still unfolding.
We've only just seen a glimpse of what they can do.
Exactly. And what impact they could have on the future of AI.
This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
It's not just about the tech itself.
Right.
It's about, like, what does AI mean for our future?
Yeah.
For society?
Big questions.
For all of us?
And that's what makes DeepSeek so fascinating.
Huh.
It's not just about building better AI.
Right.
It's about prompting us to ask those really big questions.
To our listeners out there, keep exploring.
Yeah.
Keep asking those questions.
Keep your eye on DeepSeek.
Because their journey,
Yeah.
it's a reflection of all of our journeys into this, like, age of AI.
Absolutely.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be the one to make the next big breakthrough.
You never know.
Inspired by DeepSeek, like the open source spirit,
Right.
their commitment to pushing the boundaries.
And their willingness to share their knowledge with the world.
This has been a really incredible deep dive.
It has.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And until next time.